let me show you all our options.
Wow. Oh man.
Let's start with the most popular system, which is the very short. It's about less than 20 inches by 16 inches tall. This is the compact unit. You can mount it under a sink. If you have space issues, this is really the unit.
Wow.
We offer for that. Consumption-wise, it's again 1,000 watt, just like all our systems, and it makes 25 gallons an hour. The bigger membranes, of course, require more space, but they will make 40 gallons an hour.
You guys machine all of your billet aluminum and stainless parts in-house.
Absolutely.
And you do all your own powder coating.
Absolutely.
Now this is just for spraying, and then you have an oven somewhere. There's your oven.
Yep, so once it's sprayed, it goes right into the oven. We'll continue on with our next batches and do that. We'll do end caps, we do our mini plates. We pretty much do anything that needs to be protected by, paint. Stop the salt corrosion in the air and the water or whatever. And powder coating does a really good trick. All right, so the hard part's done. We just coated our end caps and our powder coating. Now we got to get them into the oven, which is already preheating, ready to go. So we're gonna grab our handy dandy pliers.
Let's go check out the oven.
Get ready for the oven.
I'll get the door for you.
Yep, go for it. Yep.
Just that one?
Yeah, we'll just do that one.
Now, how long do you bake these for, and at what temperature do you bake these at?
So we bake ours around 380 degrees for about 20 minutes. There's a fine spot between 350 and 400, but don't need to get into all that.
Yeah.
So about 20 minutes around 380 degrees.
Nice.
And these give us a really nice, thick, consistent coating. So what they end up gonna look like, fresh off the batch, it's gonna be something like this.
Nice. And the powder coat in the O-ring grooves does not affect its sealing abilities in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
That's
Not
very
at all.
cool.
Yep. So definitely a cool process, and it's something that we're very proud to do here, as well as all the machining, the metal work, creating the units, R&D, pretty much everything. We have a lot of pride in making our products here in-house.
As you ought to. I mean, you're literally doing it all.
And by doing it ourselves, we also can gauge the consistency of the product, how thick it's applied, stuff like that, you know. But this is one facet to everything we do. Let's move on, we'll show up some more stuff.
Cool.
This is Anthony, he's our head CNC guy around here. Wow. So anything that you see that's cut from metal came from this guy. Whether it's end caps, mini plates, even plastic parts, whatever, he's the genius behind the machines.
I've already seen some of your very impressive work.
Thank you, thank you. So right now, Anthony's gonna show us how to cut a mini plate, or what we call a mini plate. A mini plate this is raw aluminum that is getting cut to go into the mini cases, and it's basically the chassis that holds the membranes to the motor and everything together. So the first step of the process is it looks like a bare sheet of aluminum.
Yeah.
And by the time it's done with its process, it's gonna look something like this.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start that process, Ant.
That's amazing. The machine changes tools.
Oh, yeah. It'll change tools. It'll pretty much do everything for you, except take it out. This is another beautiful part. This is actually a pump head that we made out of stainless steel.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful part. Feel the quality, the heaviness of that. And like I said, a very beautiful part.
That is beautiful.
It took a lot of work to machine these. You could ask the machinist here.
Yeah, as a machinist, this must be pretty hard on your tooling.
Oh yeah, very hard. 70 taps.
70 taps?
70
Wow.
taps.
70 taps. But you can see we made a great abundance of them.
Yeah,
Just the cool part.
it's high quality material.
Oh, it is. We'll come over to this machine. We ready to go?
Yeah.
Go for it. So this is what an end cap starts out as.
Yeah.
It starts out as a raw block that
Raw
comes
block
off of a
aluminum.
14-foot piece of stock. It's extremely long.
Yeah.
It gets sent to the bandsaw, and the bandsaw will automatically cut the dimension that we want. And then it goes directly into this machine from the bandsaw. So this is what it comes out or goes in looking like. Go ahead and let's start this one. At the end of the day, that part will end up looking like this.
Yeah.
Because these parts are done in two operations. The first operation does one side, the second operation does the other. Once they're done here, they get powder coated and thrown on the machine.
That's a solid piece of billet right there.
Yeah.
That's a beauty.
So straight out of the machine onto your Watermaker. That's the beauty of SeaWater Pro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I was just telling him, it's quite rare that a company designs their product, manufactures their product, and produces everything, even down to the packaging.
When you order a SeaWater Pro system, all of your fittings kits now come in a vacuum sealed labeled card. They're all numbered to where to install them on your system. And we also know that they're all there. So
We're gonna press it right now?
we're gonna press it right now. Sips. Everyone gets a free roll of Teflon from now on. Teflon. And boost pump fittings. At 23, this bad boy's gonna suck down, suck all the air out of it. And this is your new vacuum sealed card, ladies and gentlemen. Labeled, ready to go.
That is too cool.
Yep, and then pretty much go into stock from here and into people's boxes.
So this right here is the system that I'm after. Wow, that's quite the unit. I really like the setup because I'm able to take the membranes. I can mount the membranes on the side, the outboard side bulkhead in the engine room, and then I can mount the pump where all the pumps are.
Yep.
I can mount the filter housing, both of the filter housings where they're easily accessible to
That's
change
correct.
the sediment filters and the carbon filters. One question that I had for you was, I noticed the smaller panel does not have a pressure regulator.
That's correct.
I'm now seeing that you've added this pressure regulator, so
That
you
is
don't need
correct.
to run lines to the panel.
That is correct. What we actually did is instead of having the pressure regulator, the high pressure gauge, the low pressure gauge, the flow meter, the TDS remotely, that would require that we have to run lines to all these, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind having the pressure gauge here and the pressure regulator on the membrane, same thing with a low pressure gauge. Instead of being here, we can put it here. Now all we really
Gotcha.
need is just the two switches.
Boost
So
pump and the main pump.
the boost pump on the left and the main pump on the right. Here you can see the low pressure, which is the boost pump, and the high pressure, which is the main pump.
It's spectacular.
So if you don't want to run lines, let's say you want to mount this 10, 20, 30 feet away, instead of running 30-foot high pressure lines, leave these with your membranes, and all you need is this small panel, which is on this system, which only requires 2 power lines, one for the boost pump and one for the high pressure pump. Because of our patented pressure regulator, you don't have to go back and check the pressure periodically. You completely set it once and you forget it. And what it does, it returns exactly where you left it every time you turn on the switch.
Really?
Exactly. And so you don't have to be checking anything. All you need to do to operate our system is just flip 2 switches, and when you're done, turn them off.
Turn on the boost pump and turn on the main pump.
Turn on the main pump again. And again, everything goes around now on all the membranes, so you're not missing out on performance, you're not missing out on less gauges. It's just that they're not mounted remotely.
Gotcha.
That saves a lot of installation time.
Gotcha.
But we offer both options. Some guys that don't go too far anyway. So if you're really close somewhere within let's say 6 feet, then it's not a very big deal.
Yeah.
To keep the panel, so you can consolidate all the gauges in one place.
Understood. That's spectacular.
Now another note here is this is our boost pump. The boost pump primes the filters with water. That's the only mission of the boost pump. So this has to be below the water line. It's a non-contact pump, and that's why it's not self-primed. So as long as you mount this below the water line, everything else can be anywhere.
Gotcha. That's a magnetic pump?
That is a brushless
Yeah.
DC pump. It will run from 12 to 24 volts. And if you want to run it at 110, we have a small optional transformer which you plug into 110, and now it becomes 110. But it's the same pump essentially. Now the distance from the pump to the pre-filters can be any distance. It could be 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. By default, you get 20 feet of this hose, which is the low pressure hose that goes from the boost pump to the pre-filtration. And then once you go through the pre-filtration, it goes to the high pressure pump. From the high pressure pump, this hose by default is 6 feet. 6 feet is what the distance is
from the pump to
the pump to the membranes. Now, if you need it longer, we make these hoses in-house. We can make them any size you want. We've made them as long as 30 feet.
Gotcha.
If that's what it takes. This is a carbon filter which removes chlorine. So let's say you're plugged into the shore water. You want to remove the chlorine when you rinse the system because it's hard on the membranes.
Yep.
That's all this does. It just removes chlorine from the tap water.
Gotcha.
If you were to run continuously from product water, which has no chlorine, then you don't really need this filter at all.
Understood.
Another question we get a lot is, well, how often do I have to rinse the system? Rinsing is really a fancy word for moving the old water out. If you turn on the system for 5 seconds every 3 days, you moved the old water out, you replenished it with fresh water, you rinsed it. It doesn't have to be a fresh water rinse. Any way we can get the old water out, because if we leave the seawater in this membrane, it's going to smell. It has microbial life that starves of oxygen, and then it starts smelling.
So under any circumstance, do you ever have to back flush these membranes?
The back flush is not really true. It's a forward flush. A lot of people call it back flush, but that's
you're
forward
pushing
flushing.
water in the same direction. You're just pushing fresh, clean.
We're replacing it with clean water, exactly.
Got it. You're leaving the membranes full of clean water.
Yes. And
now I get it.
Now, let's say you forgot, you left the boat for whatever reason. You set this for once every 3 days for a few minutes, and it does it whether you're on the boat or not.
Oh.
That does not require to have power to the motor or anything. All it requires is pressurized water from your shower or from a line that goes to your kitchen sink. Splice and supply pressurized water. As long as your house pump is on, the system will rinse itself once every 3 days. So
Got it.
you don't have to remember, oh my God, did I rinse my system? Did I turn it on the last 3 days? Set this for once every 3 days and walk away. It uses 2 gallons of water every time it rinses.
That's very...
And there is nothing else you need to do. You don't have to turn any valves. You don't have to turn any switches. Just set this and forget it. It runs on 3 AA batteries for 3 years.
That's very insightful.
All the energy you need for rinsing the system.
Gotcha. Now I'm seeing it. So when you're doing the flush, you don't have the boost pump on.
Correct.
You just
Nothing. All
Yeah.
you do is this valve opens, takes pressurized water from your house pump, and runs it through the system for a few minutes to just move
So
the
you
old
don't
water
even
out.
need to run high pressure water through the membranes to flush
That
them.
is correct.
It's simply whatever your house water pump is producing
That is
is
correct.
enough to flush
That
the
is
membranes.
correct. Exactly. And another beauty of the patented bypass that we have on the regulator is that you don't even have to turn the regulator. You just left the regulator set for 800 psi, and even though it was set for 800 psi, the 40 psi water will actually flow right through it because of the patented bypass.
Gotcha.
And that's what makes the system operate like a computerized system without any electronics.
I'm actually realizing now how much more simple it was than I thought.
Yep.
It's quite simple. How you doing? I'm
Good.
Gus.
Hi Gus, I'm Kevin Supinger,
Nice to meet you.
and I'm the President and CEO of Blue Ocean IoT, Internet of Things.
Oh, wow.
But I work in conjunction here with SeaWater Pro.
Very
So
cool.
let me show you our setup here for the automation controller that we're going to be introducing very shortly here. And so this is your standard Watermaker setup. This over here is the fresh water pump to demonstrate the flush pressure.
Gotcha.
This is the controller box here with the electronics. These have the solid state relays in it, an industrial DIN mount. Power supply here. So you just hook up your AC. Output line is for the compressor and the boost water pump. Okay. And so this is Wi-Fi controlled. If you want to show the inside of this controller box, that would be fine. Because this is the controller here. It has Wi-Fi and NMEA2000. And these are solid state relays that run the various boost pump, the compressor, flush valve, and the diverter valve. And they have, here's the high pressure from the compressor output. Okay, then over here, let me go over here. And this is the booster pump. Okay, it also has a water pressure sensor. Okay, here's the one for the flush, which is the fresh water, and then this is pressurized, just like it would be in the boat. These are the diverter valve. This one here is the ball valve, and then there's a diverter valve over here. The diverter valve, what that does is it flushes water made for the first 1 or 2 minutes to get rid of any salt or TDS, right? And then it switches over to your main tank output. These valves are...
Gotcha. So it's automatic. It automatically diverts the first 2 minutes worth of water.
Yeah. And then it shuts and goes to the tank. And when if it loses power, it goes back to non-tank output, okay, as default. These are ball valves. This is the flush water one, and it's normally closed. When it's energized, it'll open. This is a flow meter, so you can see how much water you flushed out, okay, in gallons. And then,
This will all display on your chart plotter?
yeah, it's right here.
Wow.
So here's another flow meter, and that's water made, okay? So if we go over here, this is NMEA2000 stuff here, and this is what you see for the various messages on the bus, and I was talking to you earlier about things like fluid level, okay? So, go back
This is simulated?
yeah, this one is an engine controller that's simulating 618 RPM
Oh, yeah.
over here.
Yep.
And you can see the fuel tank level, all right, as I increase it or decrease it with the float.
Ah.
And then if you look up here, what you'll see is you'll see the fluid level is just what we just did, okay? So it's either this one or the other one. Okay, I guess it's the other one. And that's what I was saying about we can read your actual water tank. So I'm going to go up to 100%. Now I'm going to go down to 15 or 1/4%. You can see it over here.
Wow.
And so that'll be, it has the ability to read your water tank level and refresh your water up to whatever you want, 90%, threshold down to 70%, make water at 90 to water.
Effectively, you're producing a fully automated, the system's going to be completely automated. You could leave your boat and charter guests or whatever could be showering and doing this and doing that, and when you get low, it's going to make water. And
Yep.
the Watermaker is going to shut off and flush itself.
In fact, we have
That's insane.
this one upstairs I showed you, but this is for the guest boats, start and stop, and it gets its power off the NMEA2000 bus.
Wow.
So you can put many of these located anywhere in the boat, one in the captain's cabin with a 3-button for automatic, right? And then these are just start and stop if people need to make water.
Wow.
And so you don't need a chart plotter, but here's what you have on the screen here, okay, is that, and this can be on a cell phone and everything, okay? Because any browser, iPad, whatever, you can make water by volume, all this. You can see what the various pressures are, the flow meters, how much water was made and flushed. You know, this is not fully set up yet because we're just setting up the lab. Gallons to make. You can make water by volume or by time. And your flush timer, 5 days. Right now it's off, but it'll
So every 5 days it'll flush itself.
yeah, and it tells you when the next flush cycle will be.
Oh.
And you can set it for what time of day you want it to run. And then these are the maintenance compressor hours and minutes and days. And the filters also.
Wow.
And then it graphs all this stuff too in charting. So you can see all your boost pressure, compressor, flush pressure, how much water was made and flush water used, the controller environment, temperature and humidity, and then up to 4 auxiliary temperature sensors.
So you can effectively track how many gallons have passed through your membranes in entirety, your filters, your sediment filters.
Yep.
You can reset the values for the sediment filters and whatnot.
That's right. You know, it takes care of all those functions, okay, for you. And so, where is my mouse cursor here? All right. So up in here you can set all your settings. It's password protected for administrator. You can set this whatever you want.
It's like setting up your router. It's essentially set up like a router, like
Yep.
a wireless router.
And it has basic sensors, pressure and flow sensors as the controller type. And you can enable Mom, the supervisor, that tells you if anything goes wrong, it shuts down, okay? If the stopcock is closed, there's no booster pressure. If the circuit breaker for the compressor's off, it tells you that. If there's no water pressure for flush, it won't flush because there's no water to flush, okay?
Yeah.
And then all of this stuff is logged, but you can set here the flush timer, whether it's on or off, or it flushes after every cycle. And then here you can set the freeze cycle too. So if you're in the Arctic or so, you can say every 30 minutes run for 5 minutes, salt water to keep everything from freezing out through the outflow, okay? I know you don't need it down here, but
That is too cool.
in the admin, you can scan for other Wi-Fi's or whatever. Look at the SD card. There's none in here right now, but it produces a log if there was, which is in JSON format. You can upload it and save it and all of that stuff. And then you can, in the admin, you can go in here and you can go in here. And then you have your NMEA2000 stuff and your diags, okay. And the diags allow you to turn on and off various outputs manually to test your connections. You'll see your pressures and flows, and you can run flush cycles and booster pump cycles. So right now, let's go ahead and turn on the booster pump. Okay, so that just turned on. You see the water pressure coming up to 30 here. Okay.
Oh, you want 30 psi at that
Yeah.
at that high pressure pump?
Yep. And so now we're going to go turn on the compressor. Okay. Now I'm going to turn on the diverter valve.
That's the high pressure pump.
Yep. Okay, I just shut it back off. I can turn it back on again, of course. And there we go.
Can I see its water output?
Yep.
So this is brine and this is fresh water.
Yeah, this is water made. This is pure water. That's why there's so much goes through. There's nothing stopping it from the membrane, okay?
That's brine.
And this is brine would be overboard. Yeah. And then this one is the diverter, which it can go to your bilge, or in the future versions will go out the brine.
Wait, say that last part one more time.
Well, in other words, the diverter valve will go out the brine, okay?
Yeah.
So it goes overboard.
Yeah.
And then when it switches, you're making water purely into the tank, okay? And that's what's monitored by the gallon.
You can control everything now from your Garmin.
That is.
And we are
That's
the first
pretty
company that got certification to be able to plug into the network.
Do you really? Do you see yourself?
Genetic test.
Not even. Do you see yourself getting into the tempered water system world, like tempered water air conditioning for bigger boats?
Hopefully, eventually, yes.
Yeah.
We're not stopping at anything.
Yeah. That's spectacular.
Yeah, we're doubling almost
Yeah.
every year.
Between Mike and myself, okay, we can build and design anything, okay? And I mean really, because I design all the circuit boards and circuitry. Used to be the chief processor architect at Intel.
Really?
And design the IBM PC and all the processors up through the Pentium.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then I worked at 10 years at Microsoft as principal software developer and architect.
Really? So
Yeah.
you're the best of both worlds, quite literally.
Yep, that's right. Have been since I was 15.
Wow.
Because I programmed the Galileo and the Voyager spacecrafts, okay, those when I was 14, okay,
No
for
way.
NASA.
No way.
Yeah, 1802, RCA 1802 Cosmic processor.
Holy crap.
And they asked me if I would do it for them, and I said, yeah. I mean, the code, it's downloaded and upgraded itself many times over now, but it's still way out there transmitting still.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was
for having
our
me,
pleasure.
Giving me the tour, showing me everything. Both of your guys' knowledge is incredible. Seriously, I got the full experience. I'm seriously impressed. I mean that you do it all in house, and you take pride in what you do. I am more than excited to set the boat up. Look at these. That's a high quality, amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That is an amazing high quality unit right there. Wow. Phew. Wow. Seriously though, I can't wait. I'm
It
super
will look
excited.
really good in the engine room.
They're gonna look really good. I know exactly where they're going. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You guys have quite the team. It's
Thank you.
I hope we can continue to work together for
Absolutely.
a long time.
We are, for sure.
I'll be your guy.
Thanks again.
Thank you guys. Thank you.